Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is Design Resilience, the corner of the internet where we talk about building daily habits and practices that help you have the resilience you need when things are amazing, because that takes stamina, or when things are really hard, because you need a place and a foundation to stand up from. And I am so excited today to be joined by Marla Mervis-Hartmann, who has experience and expertise in an area that I haven't had a guest on here before, really about loving yourself and loving your body. And she's a published author. She's a TED speaker. She is leading communities and helping inspire people to connect with themselves and the way that they feed themselves. And I don't want to take any more of her time. So, Marla, I invite you to let our listeners know a little bit more about you and the work that you do.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Rachel. Good to be
Like,
here. Yeah. I love what you're doing with your podcast and how you're sharing resilience and what that actually means. So, my story is one that is not very unique. I think a lot of women specifically struggle with body and food issues in one way or another. Everyone has a story. Some of those stories are tragic and stick around for a whole lifetime. Some of them are for a season. And there's so much expectation on women. And we pick up on that as children. We pick up on that as very young ones, that our bodies matter. And I definitely got that. That was part of my story, is realizing, oh, my body matters and I better keep it a certain way.
mhm.
And so let's see, which part of my story shall I feel like I want to tell? There's so many pieces, right? So I'll just say that after realizing that my body mattered, and also realizing that the way to keep it a certain weight was through food and through exercise. And I took that to a very unhealthy level.
Mm.
It became so controlling, so obsessed, and my life got smaller and smaller, and it was all about my food and my body. Now, I've always been confident, so I hid it. My family didn't even realize how bad it was until they realized, wow, she's getting help for this. She thinks she needs help for her food and her. I'm like, you guys have no idea what's going on in this crazy head of mine. The things that I'm doing with my food and the way that I'm controlling, and how mean I was to myself. And the I was an exercise bulimic. So that looks like everything that you eat, then you have to burn off.
Okay.
So the amount of pushing that I put on myself. And with what we see with dieting, and if you're listening to this, you may have a journey with this. You diet, you restrict, you feel good, and then you can't keep it up. And then the flip switches and you can't starve yourself anymore. Oh, look at that. Wow. The design of the body to keep us alive doesn't allow us to starve ourselves. And then we go into that binge and overeating, and then we make ourselves wrong for that, and that's definitely what I did.
Mm.
And so it came to a point where I realized that the binging wasn't stopping and the controlling wasn't stopping,
Mhm.
and it was then that I realized that this actually doesn't have anything to do with my body or my food. This has to do with a deeper this is something deeper. There's a spiritual component here. There's a deep level of healing. So when we use food and body image stuff as a way to cope with our reality, which is what I did,
Mhm.
have a feeling, eat over it, have a feeling, control it and diet or go exercise. Um, it gets it's like the wires are confused. The right alignment, like have a feeling, feel it, feel better, is interrupted with have a feeling, stuff yourself with food, and don't feel better, but somehow feel better because you're not thinking about it. It's like all confusing, right? And so my work has been about, how do I care for myself? How do I become my own best friend? How do I learn to be safe around food and safe in a body? And that's a I mean, that's a lifetime of work.
Absolutely. Wow, that's so powerful. So, was it through the help of other people? How did you come to realize that it was deeper inside of you and not just a physical management cycle? How did you come to that realization?
Well, one realization was when I had overeaten so much and had binged so much, and I hit that moment of like, my life is always going to be this way,
Mm.
and just feeling like I'm never going to get out of this. So if you're listening to this and you're someone who just binged and feels disgusting and bloated and gross, there is hope. No, what I did was, which what most people do, is I went to the other extreme and
Mhm.
I really hunkered down and I'm like, I'm going to control and I'm going to get this under control. And so
Mhm.
if I'm the right weight and if my food is under control, then I will be happy. That was my illusion.
Sure.
So I did that. And then I got to that weight and I was miserable.
Mm.
I was so miserable. And I talk about it in my book, but my TEDx talks shares that journey. And that is when I was like, okay, this is not about my food, and I am not happy at this weight. I'm miserable. And that was the moment that I'm like, I need help.
Okay.
I can't do this.
Mhm.
So that's what started the journey. And
Mhm.
so that looked like therapists, that looked like 12-step program, that looked like um, finding Reiki, which is a spiritual practice that I've learned and now teacher of it. And, just a deeper connection with God, a deeper connection with spirit. And these moments of healing are so quiet, can be so quiet,
Mm.
right? They're so quiet. They're not the big celebration. They're the quiet moments where I'm at party and I'm not concerned about the food and I'm just talking. Like,
Yeah.
me was a celebration. Wow, I can do that. I'm safe. I'm okay.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine it felt a bit like freedom,
It is.
kind of to be in, not completely concerned about what you look like or how people are perceiving you or what you're going to eat or what you're not going to eat or just all that noise. How far you had to come to engage with people when all of that was going on beforehand and then begin to realize the quiet once you've done all that work. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I've always been someone who's very confident, and I've been in a body that is, I was born very thin. I'm in a body that people would look at and be like, "I'd like that body," but it didn't matter.
Right.
It
Right.
didn't matter. Like, body image, food craziness does not discriminate on the size of your body. It
Mm-hmm.
it will zap it whatever size you are, and that's important to realize, and I've even had, pushback around that, like, "Well, of course you love your body." I'm like, "Well, I didn't." Oh, no.
Right.
Of course I do. I mean, I hated my body, right?
Ah,
I I was but I knew, this is the thing, Rachel, I knew I could look in the mirror and say, I know that that's okay.
uh-huh.
Know that that's even good from other standards, but I couldn't surrender to that. I
Mm.
It's like there was a fight in there because if I did, I thought that if I did accept my body and I actually liked my body and I loved my body, that meant that I was going to gain a bunch of weight.
Mm.
And I thought, and this is all the deeper work, that if I gained that weight, then I wasn't lovable.
Sure.
I mean, that's what society tells us, right? We get
Yeah.
more, and if we're in a body that doesn't have, that's thinner. I mean, it's so insidious and gross and awful, but that's the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality of what I believed. And so, you said something really important is the noise. And I think that that's what people come to me for is I need to
Mm.
get rid of this noise. There's so much noise inside my head. I just want some freedom. I just want to be able to sit and eat food and not make it mean something about myself. I just want to be able to go and feel okay in my body and not be comparing myself to everyone around me.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a couple of things that um this is brought to mind for me. One is how powerful our perception can be, even when we realize that reality might be different. That kind of, I have friends who you might call catastrophizers. They love to immediately jump to the worst outcome, and we'll play games like, okay, for every 4 times you think it's going to fall apart, 1 time you have to pretend like it's going to be good, because so much of our perception is making it up, whether we're looking backwards at our past or forward at our future. But it can be a super hard bond to break, to, kind of tied with that noise in your mind, that it can be the loudest voice that you hear. So that is powerful work for people who are coming to you to guide them through that. Help me just breathe and accept what reality is, as
Yeah,
opposed to being managed by this kind of mess in my brain.
totally. And having someone else to talk to about it,
Hmm.
someone that you trust, someone that you can say the crazy things that are going on and they can say, I love you even still,
Yeah.
and you're okay. And let's talk through this to see what's really hooking all of this in.
Hmm.
Those moments are just so crucial to healing.
And I could feel my body relax when you said that it wasn't, the immediate response wasn't, here's an action plan. It was, I hear you're crazy and I love you.
Mhm.
And I think for a lot of us who battle with different self um, condemning thought patterns, that is the response we want. And having someone model it for us, say, yeah, that's not super healthy what you're thinking, but I love you and we'll talk about it. And then to be able to internalize that, I mean, that's such a gift that you give your clients. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that I mean, I tried to heal this on my own and
Okay.
it didn't work,
Mhm.
right? I think that we have to self-advocate. I think we have to learn we're only with ourselves. We have to learn how to care for ourselves more, how to become our own best friend. And I do think we need guides and mentors, especially when it's gotten too overwhelming. Now, the issue that I see, Rachel,
Mhm.
in my work is that the insanity is so normalized
Mm.
and the suffering is so normalized where women come together and they complain about their bodies and their food and
Mhm.
they're comparing each other and they're dieting, they're restricting, they're doing all these things and they're not happy.
Right.
Everyone around them is not happy, so they think that they don't have a problem because their mom was like that and their grandma was like that, and that's the way their friends are, and if they go on Instagram, that's what people are talking about because that's the only thing that's on their feed is stuff about body and food and weight and da 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 da.
Yeah.
That they don't realize that there's a completely there is a way of being in
Mhm.
their bodies. There's a way of being able to intuit and attune to the body. There's a
Mm.
way to not be mean to ourselves. There's a way to have freedom with our food. There's a way to not binge. There's a way to not purge. And there's a way to find peace
Yeah.
that isn't about getting that weight. Because when you get the weight, then my experience is I get the weight, then I'm in fear that I'm going to lose it.
Sure. Right. Yeah, you get the thing that you fought for, and then
There's
it's more
never,
terrifying.
there's never freedom. And there's this piece is coming up for me, so I'm just going to share it.
Yeah.
Um, there's also this piece, especially I think with all bodies, men included, but I'll speak to the woman's body because I am a woman. That our bodies are cyclical.
Mhm.
So even if you're in your age where you're bleeding, your cycle every month. I was just interviewed a couple days ago. We were talking about how, oh my gosh, when we're bleeding, like our body, we're disgusting, we're gross, I can't believe it, there's something wrong with me. And then like 10 days later, it's like we're feeling sexy and alive. And it's like the hormones and how they take what they can do to
Yeah.
create how we feel about ourselves. And so we look at that month, and then we look about the cycles of our life.
Mhm.
And, there are times where we hold on more weight or times that we're not. I notice that I lose weight in the winter. I don't know
Oh,
why,
oh,
but I do. I just shed. I'm not doing anything different.
right.
And in the past, I could be like, "Oh, how do I keep this up? What am I doing?" Right? And it's just like, well, it's probably gonna gain a few pounds or whatever it is, and it just happens. It's kind of interesting, but
Yeah.
I'm not attached to it anymore.
Yes.
And if
I
I
think oh, go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
If I am attached
Mhm.
and I do have that feeling of attachment, I check it,
Mm,
right? Because that to me is a slippery slope.
right.
I'm attached to what my body weighs, then I know that there's something else going on that I need to look at. Oh, do I think this is still about my worth? Oh, what am I thinking here?
Mhm.
So I'm pretty careful to watch what's going on.
Yeah. So it feels like to me maybe a curve of that connection. So I think, not necessarily paying attention to the cycles or to managing the body. You may not pay attention because I know, I've been on birth control since I was a teenager to manage cramping and things like that. And so my cycle wasn't really something, the changes in me that I paid attention to, because I knew when I got to that last row of pills, that was my period. So I wasn't listening to my body. And then as I've gotten older and things are changing, and, you know, um, there's a joke in the southern United States of like girls who were brought up in my generation in the church who are now all turning to like moon cycles and crystals. And, we're all reconnecting with earth because we were so separated from it in our youth. And so I began to pay much more attention to cycles in nature and in my body, and then kind of move with it so that I'm not as focused on it, but I'm connected enough to it that it can signal me. And it's kind of maybe your experience too, where you were just all in your head and not in your body. And then you got very in your body. And then you were able to release it a little bit and just let it knock on the door when it needed to. Would you say that was kind of a journey you went through about being aware of your body and listening to its signals?
I think for me, I've always been someone who's been very active,
Mm,
and I explain it as I was I used my body, but I wasn't connected with my body. So
okay.
fed it, I slept, I put it to sleep, I moved it, but I didn't I wasn't involved in the process.
Mm,
I didn't wanna listen to my body, because if I listened to my body, it was gonna say, "Eat something, you're hungry." Like, "Nope, nope, we're not hungry. You're wrong, body. We're not
yeah.
hungry for another 2 hours. Sorry." Right? Well, the body knows, right?
Yeah.
"Oh, we're tired." "No, no, you're still going for that run. You just wanna sleep." "No, we're gonna push." "No, you ate that thing, you're going for a run."
Right.
And so there was such a disconnection, and I see that a lot with women, and I love that you shared about the birth control, because I think that that's what we were taught. Have a symptom and just go on the pill like it's not normal, and it disconnects us to our bodies and to the rhythm and to the understanding of what the body needs. And so I had to regain the trust in my body. My body had to trust me, and I had to trust my body.
Okay.
And that doesn't happen overnight. That takes some time. Okay, if I feed you, what's going to happen? Are you going to be hungry later and then you're going to eat more and then you're, and like, can I trust you? Oh, I'm hungry. And so I've had to say, like, just eat the darn food and move on with your life.
Yeah.
Just because I thought I thought I had an addiction and I was obsessed with food. And when I look back on it, I realized, Rachel, I was hungry.
Yeah.
My body was constantly telling me to eat, not because it was obsessed with food. It's because I was barely feeding it. I would feed it just enough.
Yeah.
So what I'll say to my clients, I'm like, eat something,
Mm.
like nourish yourself. And this is for the client who like wants to lose weight and is dealing with binging, but then restricts her food. And then they want to restrict and they want me to tell them to restrict. And I'm like, no, eat something,
Yeah.
satiate yourself, ground yourself, feel your body, let your body feel, I'm not hungry anymore.
Mhm.
And when we do that, the body goes, oh, I'm safe now. I'm okay.
Ah,
Let's move on with our life. And the noise goes away. And not completely, right? There's so many different, but that portion of that noise goes away and the
mhm,
trust is beginning to build. And I think that this never ends.
mhm.
It's so many things that I've dealt with my body over the years that it's like, can I trust it? And it's like sometimes sometimes we get mad at our bodies for not performing the way we want or being upset at them for, no, you're not supposed to be sick or not supposed to be this or you're supposed to have more energy or what's wrong with you. So loving our bodies isn't just about our weight and what we look like. It is about caring for ourselves and how the body shows up.
Yeah. Do you find that your clients are open to the idea of seeing their bodies as separate from them and building a relationship with them? Like, what's that journey like of going from someone who is all command and control with the body to someone who is listening and loving the body? Like, how do you get there?
Yeah, usually it's an inner journey. There's usually an inner child or an inner character that is running the show. That's
Okay.
them that's angry and upset and
Mm,
controlling. And so that is the journey of going in and identifying who's the commander in control here and what does that part need? What are they afraid of? What are they
mm,
concerned about? If they let go of control, what's going to happen? And not just that surface level of like, "Well, then we're just gonna gain weight and da, da, da." No, no, there's a deeper story here. There's something that's deeper. There's there's a more compassionate story. There's a story of fear and concern, and when we tap into that on that deeper level, that begins to change the foundation.
mm.
That begins to open up the possibility that we can trust. Now practical there is that practicality of the mind always thinking the same thing and doing the same thing. And so on that level, we have to work with it. Oh, okay. So you're putting yourself down right all the time right here with your body. Let's see how you can do something different. So it's that internal and the external. And that's match.
That's amazing. So, as you found support, you mentioned therapy, you mentioned 12-step work, you mentioned Reiki. Um, was that a linear path? Did you kind of go at it all together when you decided you wanted help? How did you explore the options?
I hit it pretty hard with therapy and then doing 12-step. I don't do 12-step anymore. I don't resonate with it completely for this part of the journey,
Mhm.
but it definitely saved my butt. I mean, because it en it encompassed me in a container.
Mm.
There's a container there, and there's a structure, and there's other people that are sharing your story, and then you're not feeling like you're so alone. And
Yeah.
so if it wasn't that, it would have been getting a coach, but I didn't there wasn't really there were maybe therapists, but there weren't people like me that holds a container around this.
Yeah.
So when I dove into that and then I found Reiki, Reiki opened me up to, oh, so what I've been doing is I've been saying I'm broken, I'm wrong. And once I fix myself, then I'm lovable. And what learning about Reiki did was it said, I'm going to heal these parts of me because I love myself so much.
Mm.
And so from that, and I've always been a searcher. I've always been, to this day, I'm always like, what's the next level of growth? What is here for me to learn about myself? What does God want from me right now? Who am I to be? And like, I'm always, what part can I let go of? And what part wants to blossom? That's just the nature of who I am. And so I I dove in, and then there are these, what I have found is that along the way, when I look back on it, so when I found Reiki, I realized, oh, I have a lot of sexual trauma and there's a lot of things around sexuality that I need to heal. And so I dove into that. And then I went the path of tantra and became a tantra teacher and learned all about that and I know that's kind of a strange term for a lot of people, but my teacher was so integral and so beautiful. And I even look back on that journey, I'm like, wow, how much that journey helped me heal my relationship with my body,
Hmm.
helped me heal my relationship with my food, helped me realize that I was void of pleasure. I had so much capacity to hold pleasure. But the moment that I realized that it wasn't, I thought pleasure was about what I looked like.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize that it was about what I felt like.
Mm. Wow.
Like, oh my gosh, this body, and we know when we see someone who's full of pleasure and like they're they're so, I mean, you're magnetized to them.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
changed my perspective and changed it not, but this is the thing about tantra and Reiki and healing and connection with God. It doesn't, it connects the dots in a way
Hmm.
that doesn't say, if you do this, it's going to heal your relationship with food. But through the practice of learning about pleasure, through the practice of learning about um, sexuality, there was a piece that's like, oh, I don't need this anymore.
Hmm.
I can let that go,
Yeah.
and that is the continual journey. I mean, I still am healing.
Hmm.
I'm, n- I find, and I don't know how you feel about this, Rachel, but I believe that we all have coping mechanisms
Hmm.
and they show up when we're deeply stressed.
Yep. Yeah.
And so even the old ones, now my coping mechanisms, the way that my body gets my attention is often around food.
Hmm.
And so if I'm not centered and if something's up, my food is going to get a little wonky. And sometimes it's my relationship with food that even lets me know. Because all of a sudden I'm like, I've shoved something in my mouth. I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Right.
What is happening here? So sometimes the behavior tunes me into what's happening. So we miss out on allowing our coping mechanism to support us. So we can look at the behavior and we could say, I'm disgusting because I did that, rather than, oh, thank
Yeah.
you for tuning me into this. So I still am learning about my body, how I can care for it more. I'm still learning about what does food mean to me? What is my attachment to having this food all the time? Like what's here? How can I find more freedom with food and with my body?
Yes. Okay. Couple things. Fantastic. So one of them, I think it's because I kind of like you when you mentioned that you used your body. I've sometimes felt that my body was the machine that carried my brain around because I've education, then straight to kind of a corporate job, and that's what I do, and then that's what produces my income, and that allows me to. So like my linearity was more towards probably financial command and control as opposed to like my physical, but I wasn't really paying attention to my body because that wasn't what made me money. It was my brain. And the connection of the sexuality and learning how to be there puts you in your body. I mean, I know in some cases of trauma, like there's that experience of leaving your body because you don't want to be in a traumatic situation. But when it is pleasurable and consensual, you're right in the moment, very present. And so I can understand how those correlate, because you may not be able to, in, a normal moment where you're looking at hunger or thirst or coldness or warmth, kind of just your body is normal in connecting to your body. But in a period of a positive sexual experience, then you are there. And so it kind of gives you that platform to say, okay, like this is what it feels like to be grounded. I can find this other ways. So that absolutely makes sense. And then I love I'm just beginning to do this, the curiosity versus the condemnation when I have an impulse, is instead of shaming myself for doing something or saying something or acting in a way that I would rather not be, what are you trying to tell me about what's going on? And that there have been some interesting conversations internally as I've explored that. I'm sure helping your clients see that that's an option, that you're not completely wrong now that you've done the thing, and you can be curious about it and learn about it, is powerful for them, I would think.
Yes, it is, and you've said it twice, and so I'm gonna say it 3 times, so I'm hoping it it gets in there for people. It's like when when they're in the shame, they say, "Well, what can I actually do? If I'm in shame, I'm in my shame spiral. What do I do?" And what
Mhm.
I said was, "You get curious."
Yeah.
Curiosity takes the shame, which is so and it begins to, like, open it up. "Oh, what does this mean?" And curiosity opens up to compassion.
Mhm.
Oh, I see. That has been upsetting me for a really long time, and I haven't cared for myself around that. Oh, I'm still holding grief around this. Oh, my husband drives me crazy, and I haven't, addressed the blah, 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 right? Or whatever it is. It can be so
Yep.
small, but when we have curiosity that then leads to, oh, I'm a human being having a human experience,
Mhm.
and that's where we can bring in more compassion. And that, Rachel, is freedom. Like, freedom with
Yeah.
food isn't about doing it right.
Mhm.
It is not. People are like, oh, I'm just going to eat perfect. No, you're not going to eat perfect. What does that even mean?
Right.
There is like better ways of doing things. There's,
Mhm.
there's ways that we can learn, like, okay, don't eat that before I go to bed. Okay, I've learned that. And so now I have more freedom around that piece, just as an example.
Yeah.
However, there's not perfection.
Mm.
Perfection is control,
Yes.
and that we don't.
I was, couple of things that brought to my mind. One is, of course, everyone has their own beliefs, but if you happen to believe that you have a divine or a eternal thing in you, um, you can't get it wrong because you never get it done. If you are, if you have divinity or anything like that, then it's always going to go on, and energy can either be created or destroyed. So you can't get it wrong because it's always going to happen. And then the idea that perfectionism being controlling, um, something that really convicted me around that idea was that it's actually people pleasing, because there's an element typically of personal suffering when you're trying to attain perfection, because it's not in our nature. So we're doing it for someone else because it doesn't feel good to us. The kind of back to your point about finding the ability to enjoy pleasure and having it. And that's part of what we are supposed to be as humans, is joy and pleasure is supposed to be part of our experience. Uh, so we've twisted ourselves all up in the expectations of other people, feeding into our own self management.
Yes, and perfectionism is such an interesting one.
Mm.
Sometimes perfectionism is the issue.
Mm.
It's attached to the food.
Okay.
So it's not even necessarily about the food. It's about dealing with the part of us that has the perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we heal the perfectionism and we work with that, and perfectionism and control that is a dance too. It is working with the nervous system like, okay, I'm safe for it to not be perfect. Am I safe? Am I safe? I'm not safe. I close up. And I'm safe for a little bit longer. And then I close up, maybe not quite so much. And so it is a dance. It sometimes takes time. And then we know ourselves, oh, this is when my perfectionism is coming in. And so these are the steps I take when I'm being a perfectionist. These are the steps I take when I'm letting go of control. And so when we know ourselves and we know our behaviors and we know our patterns, and then we know where they come from, we can do that deep healing. And so the perfectionism can go away. And along with the perfectionism, in comes freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love how haven't called it out specifically yet, but so many of the pathways have led to safety. And I think safety is kind of that mind, body, spirit thing, because your body will have unsafe response or feelings, you sweat or get prickly or things like that. And your mind panics and tries to compensate. And so knowing that, what I've so loved about this conversation is that while the symptom that walks us in the door is our relationship with our body and our food, we have walked a circle around so many things about experiences that were core from our early life, finding safety, the ability to look into ourselves and be curious that it's not a clean box. There's so many ways to come into this and approach it and find healing. And I think that can feel a lot safer than being like, oh, I immediately have to deal with what's on my plate.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there, done that. If it worked, it would have worked by now.
Right.
Yeah, I said that to a potential client. I said, what you're doing is just not working.
Right.
And I don't know, it's not going to. It would have, it would have worked you've been doing it for so long. It would have worked if it was going to.
Right.
That can be such a wake up call, but it's a wake up call in the most beautiful way, because it's knowing that whatever we have been doing isn't that we haven't gotten it right. It's just the wrong path.
Yes. So you're not a failure.
You're just
This
on the
is
wrong
the
path.
right approach. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, my goodness, Marla, what a fantastic conversation. I know that though listening to us today will not want this to be the last time that they can hear from you, connect with you, learn from you. So tell us about how people can work with you from a coaching perspective, get your book. How do people find you?
Yes. Loveyourbodyloveyourself.com. You're going to find my free course called Breaking the Cycle of Emotional Eating. So grab that. It's free. It's a lot of good stuff on there and an opportunity to connect with me deeper. You can get my book, which is on Amazon and all the places. My audiobook will likely be out by the time we've gotten this out into the world. So that's exciting. So you'll be able to listen to me. And yeah, Instagram, love your body, love yourself always. Be in touch, reach out, ask me a question. If you're looping on something, ask for some support. Happy to respond back to you.
Amazing. So generous. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience and journey and then externalizing that out to help so many other women who are walking where you've been. Amazing.
Thank you for having me, Rachel.
My absolute pleasure. Well, we hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you next week.